of faith is disturbing.
Believe it.
What's going on, Geeks? This is episode 403 of the Geeks and Grace podcast. Jonathan was not ready for that. My name is Cody Arbor, and I'm with Jonathan Nichols.
What's up?
I was very, for those listening, I was just very, silently sitting here for a second. We both were, and then I just kind of, dove into it without any warning.
Jump scare.
This week, we're geeking out about... It's episode 403. I don't know if I said that. This week, we're geeking out about Nintendo switching it up. Movies that'll give you a heart attack. And Marvel Born Again. But probably not. It's probably more Marvel just Disney-fied, for being honest. Let's hope not. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. Fingers
Netflix
crossed.
Born Again? That would have been a good way to say it. I don't know. It's Daredevil for those confused. Trying to do the play on words. We're a little rusty. I'm a little rusty. Let's get into the games that we're playing. You've been playing.
I've been
some
playing
Half-Life.
Yeah, I've been playing Half-Life Alyx again. I bought it a year
Nice.
ago and just started playing it. I
Okay.
got maybe 2 hours into it. It's really good. I never played.
That's not the VR one, is it? Is it?
It is, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So last year I bought a Quest 3. I met a Quest 3.
Very cool.
And I nabbed Half-Life Alyx because the Quest 3 has Steam integration, and so it makes it real easy to stream your Steam library to it. Because I had the Oculus Quest 1, and I had to have like a cable hooked up to it. It was like big and bulky, just to play Steam VR games. And so, but yeah, I've been playing that. It's really good. I would say the graphics are the best in any VR game I've ever played. They spent a lot of time on it. All the lighting is baked, but it looks better than a lot of Unreal Engine 5 games. So
Okay.
no ray tracing, no real time lighting. It's all baked and pre-done, but it looks really good.
Huh. It's neat. But I have not played any games or watched any movies this week. I just watched some TV. So, yeah, we can get into the gaming news then.
Yeah.
I feel like it's gonna be a shorter podcast today. News was really light too. We got quite a few things in gaming. We made it to movies, but it was a struggle finding some news stories. It's just a slow
Yeah.
season. But the news that we do have is pretty big. Nintendo Switch 2 has been announced. It's a bigger Switch. How are you feeling about it?
I think it's great. So I've been following the leaks for almost 2 years, and Nintendo kept saying like, "Oh, the leaks aren't real. Don't follow the leaks." And it's exactly what was leaked over 2 years. I think it's great. It's about the size of a Steam Deck, which I like because to be the first Nintendo Switch was a little small, and this one's a little bigger. I believe it has an OLED screen, from what I read after the announcement. So that's
I would
nice.
imagine.
Yeah.
It's gotta be better than the Switch. What do they call it? Switch OLED? I think is what it's
Yeah.
called, right?
Well, at first I was scared they went backwards, just so they could announce a Switch 2 OLED or Switch OLED 2. I don't know how they would name that, but
If anyone would do that, it would be Nintendo.
yeah. Switch Mega
I-
Controller or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Switch Plus. Switch 2 Plus.
Yeah.
I think they played it safe, and I think that was probably the smart move. Like, I'm really glad that they didn't just try to innovate to a whole nother console idea. I think they've kind of found their sweet spot in this. And so I'm down with that. I hope that it can keep up. That's one thing that we don't have yet is just specs on what it's capable of doing. The games they
Yeah.
showed us are games that are already released. So
Yeah, I don't know. They're waiting until April to do like the full breakdown, which is a little strange to me.
I'm sure that was originally the idea, and then all these leaks gave them like a rushed out announcement.
Yeah. I still have the theory that they're going to try to fit Grand Theft Auto 6 onto it.
Wouldn't that be crazy?
Because if the leaks are 100% true, the specs are pretty good.
Hmm.
It's got a custom NVIDIA card in it. That's the equivalent of like a 2060 or 2070, which is a little older, but basically NVIDIA repackaged it. So technically, the Switch could have ray tracing capabilities.
Oh
It's
well.
using the new DLSS 4.0. Again, these are all leaks, but everything else from these leaks were accurate. So fingers crossed.
Tears of the
But
Kingdom with ray tracing. I'm in.
yeah, I heard they have a Breath of the Wild remake that they were showing off behind
Okay.
closed doors. So, um,
I guess. All right.
yeah, yeah,
That's a choice. I mean that's right up their alley, right? That's what they do. That would be the next one
yeah.
in line, I think. So, um, I do think it's interesting. We didn't put this in the notes at all. I actually hadn't seen anything today about it, but PlayStation is rumored to be maybe doing like a Vita 2 or some other kind of handheld
Oh,
that would play. So there's something out now. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a I thought it
yep.
was kind of like a Vita 2. It's like a handheld cloud streaming device, basically. And this new device they're saying would be able to play PS5 games natively, and then it'll have like its own exclusives, which makes sense, give you a reason to want
Mhm.
to play it. But then obviously you could also cross like you could cloud stream off of it too, or remote
That's really
play,
cool. Yeah,
and
I
I
can't think of
would
what
be
that
down for
thing's
that.
called, but I know what you're talking about. That's really cool. I just think you have to stream and you have to be in the same room or the same building,
Hmm.
so you can't just take it with you, from my understanding. But
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Uh, I'm curious. I think like a really smart move would be for Xbox and Nintendo to pair up that way. Xbox is playing so well with Switch already to put their cloud streaming service on
yeah, yeah,
on the Switch or the Switch 2. I think the Switch 2 probably be very capable of doing that. And then, the Xbox games that they can port them over, but then the bigger ones that you may not be able to do, that would compel me to want an Xbox. I don't have any reason I want an Xbox right now. I have a PC and I
mm,
cloud stream, and that's basically I can use Game Pass um, pretty exclusively on it. But if I had like a reason to like stream, if my Switch could play Xbox games, I would be like, all right, I'll go get an Xbox, I guess.
yeah. I'm the same way. I used to play pretty heavy on Xbox. I bought it every new Xbox. I bought it, and then right before the Series X came out a couple of years ago, I was like, I'm not
Hmm.
doing it anymore. I can't do it. I got a PC. Everything's coming to PC.
Yeah.
With Xbox's or Microsoft's new kind of initiative where everything's an Xbox, I could see them
Hmm.
potentially putting Game Pass on Switch.
Yeah, I would bet they want it. If anyone's not into it, it's probably Nintendo.
Yeah,
Uh, but talk them into it. That would be really cool. Um, yeah, I would imagine that Nintendo is probably like just it's our console. You can put some of your games over here, but it. I was reading an IGN article though that said a lot of Xbox games were going to be ported over, like Halo, the Halo collection going to the
hmm,
Switch too. So we'll see what happens. I want them to play nice. I think that
yeah,
is the best way for them to compete against PlayStation. Um, I say that as a PlayStation, someone who likes PlayStation, but
yeah. I think the PS5 is my favorite console. I think it's the best console I've ever owned.
mhm,
So,
so good,
uh, yeah,
comfy
um,
controller,
yeah, really good controller.
good games.
I know it's kind of hot topic because people go either way, but I like playing Call of Duty with the haptic feedbacks in the trigger. Um,
Okay.
I like the way it feels. Some people hate it. They're like, "Oh, it slows you down." I'm like, I don't care. It's fun.
Yeah,
But
I must button mash really hard. I have haptic feedback on there. I almost never notice it. Like
yeah,
I usually pushing through it every time I hit a trigger. I think I just if I'm hitting the trigger button, like I'm usually attacking something, and so I'm just
mm,
full throttle. Um, with a bow, sometimes they'll get a little bit of haptic feedback on some games that'll like have you kind of like slowly get that
yeah,
aim right. Um, but for the most part, I'm just kind of tearing through it. I feel kind of bad. Poor controller.
it can handle it.
Yeah, it's meant for it, I guess. But yeah, we should. You said April. Like I said, we'll get more information in April. It does say 2025. So probably see a release closer to the holidays, October maybe.
Yeah, actually, there's speculation that they might drop it in May because they've done
Oh
some.
wow. Okay. Yeah.
Apparently, they've done that in the past with certain announcements where they'll do like an announcement and then really shortly after it releases. But
hmm
I don't
I do
know.
think the Switch was like that. I think the Switch like announced and then was
I think
immediately
so.
released after that, pretty closely. So that would be cool. Um, and make the summer of play really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Will.
Cool. Uh, well, just because you're getting a Switch 2 doesn't mean you should mod your Switches if you live in Japan. Uh,
Yeah.
you know more about this than me. Uh, Japan is arresting modders of Switches.
Yeah. So it has to do with piracy laws,
Okay.
and he was arrested. It was a 58-year-old Japanese man was arrested on January 15th on suspicion of violating the Trademark Act because he was suspected of modifying Switch consoles to run pirated games.
Okay.
This was allegedly done by welding modified parts to the circuit board on second-hand
Hmm.
consoles. Yeah. Uh, and apparently he was putting 27 illegally accessed games onto the consoles and selling them for around $180.
Dang.
Yeah, people do that all the time here. You
Yeah.
basically can go on eBay and find Switches and Wii's and GameCubes. Well, I don't know about GameCubes. I've seen Wii's, Wii U's, all have been modded.
hmm I
Yeah.
may or may not have had a few modded in the day. Uh, um, especially Wii's. I feel like Wii's got modded all the time for the longest time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, I don't know. Nintendo is so against like I mods like that, and then emulators in general, or even the ROM hacks are what get me. Uh, ROM hack. I'm like, someone built like a different thing using your system.
Yep.
If you don't like them stealing it, at least like sell like an open source of it, or so. I guess it wouldn't be open source if you're selling it, but like sell that like capability so
Mm-hmm.
that people can make their own things using your technology. I don't know. I'm just all for like people creating new things.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they're so afraid of it. Um, it's very confusing to me.
Yeah.
They've always kind of been like this. Like sometimes I feel like they would sue a 5-year-old if they used Mario at their birthday party just because
Yeah.
they don't like the way they're using Mario.
hmm Yeah, I think it's really interesting. And we didn't mean for these to segue this way, but we're gonna be talking about Power World in a second. There, I hate to say it because I really like Nintendo and I enjoy Nintendo games, but it really feels like they fear others innovating on what they're doing because they want to have that like space to innovate themselves. Uh, but they can also make like they'd also get away with some mediocrity not having someone else make a better
Yeah.
game. And so like a ROM hack or something, I feel like they're like, oh well, we don't want like our license to be a PG-13 game because Pokemon is like for kids. And it's like, well, like you could let someone do that and then it not be your thing. Um,
Mhm.
but it's almost like they're so protective of keeping their IPs the way they have them and not necessarily how other people want them.
Yeah, I also think it's not the PG-13 side of things they're concerned about, but I feel like people are going to do what they're going to do. So,
Yeah.
um unfortunately, but yeah, that's the thing with like Pal World. I guess we could use this as a segue because they're in a lawsuit and no one, I mean, they try to say it's patent infringement, but from my understanding and what I've read, the patents are came out after or were filed after Palworld was announced and was already
Oh, okay.
like on early access. And so
Yeah,
um
and for clarity's sake, like I'm not saying that Pal World's like PG-13ish is like something that Pokemon or Nintendo's worried about. I was being more with the ROM hacks. Pal World, I
yeah.
think that Pal World just has a really good idea, and Nintendo's like, dang
Yeah,
it.
I think that that's probably what they're going to try to. I feel like that's where people are taking that though. Is like they're looking at Power World and going, "Oh, it's Pokemon with guns."
hmm
And so like they're, but I don't, I don't feel like Nintendo has a problem with that because they have other IPs on like Switch and Wii that were like rated M, like
Yeah.
Bayonetta and stuff like that. Like I don't think they actually care about that. I think you're right. I think they look at Power World and they see the reaction where people are like, "Hey, this is a better Pokemon game than Nintendo's made in like a decade."
hmm
So I mean, I've never played Pokemon games, just full disclosure, but people I know love Power World, and that's their sentiment as well. Like I've read it
hmm
online, but also that's what I've been told. It's like it's better than a lot of the current Pokemon games.
Yeah, and it's innovative. Pokemon has innovated a couple things that just didn't really matter too much.
Mm.
They'll do like really off the wall things. They definitely innovate. Pokemon Sleep and Pokemon Go and all of those sorts of things. My cat was just going crazy on the door. But I don't know. The like Pokemon, I think could have made a PG game. I think would have been fine, or a G, whatever it's rated E. I'm using movie ratings, a rated E game, and it be like a Pokemon like survival builder that
Mm.
Power World is, and it probably would have done great. And so I think they were upset with that of like, oh, we could have. Like they didn't necessarily have to give the Pokemon guns for it to uh, be a good game. I think it's the building mechanics and the innovation of like making a survival game with these
Mm.
uh, characters.
I also think the
Uh,
guns may have been a way to separate themselves from Pokemon.
yeah,
So
I love the gun. Like I'm totally down with the Pokemon guns. I
yeah,
definitely that was definitely for me kind of a selling point. But I think if Pokemon had made something similar to this, I don't think it would have needed guns for it to be something I would have been interested in.
yeah,
If it was like Pokemon Survival and they like marketed it as like, oh, it's like Ark Survival but with Pokemon, I would be like, I'm so in.
yeah.
But oh, we didn't actually get to the news there. It doesn't seem to be bugging Power World much because they've given us a roadmap for 2025. Uh,
Yeah.
Co-op crossplay. That makes sense and is amazing. World transfers for pals. Um, that's pretty big. It's not something I even thought about, but like, yeah, that would be great to be able to take your
Mm.
pal from one uh, server basically and then put it in another server. Final boss ending scenario kind of needed for a game. Like, well, I don't know. It isn't needed for a survival game, but I feel like a lot of this game had some story going on that just didn't make any
Mm.
sense. So it'd be great to get
Yeah.
some ending there. Further ways to strengthen and improve pals. Don't know what that's about, but that's interesting. Various new content such as new pals and technologies, obviously. Game collabs. I'm very interested in the game collabs, including Terraria. So if
That'd
I'm
be a lot of
digging,
fun.
yeah, let me dig in Power World. That's what I want. I want it to be Minecraft, really.
Yeah. Who
Like,
knows?
yeah. Um, maybe we'll get a Pokemon collab. You know,
Mm.
who's to say?
Maybe they'll add like Steve from Minecraft as like a pal.
There you go. Yeah, yeah. Oh man. I like thinking about that more. That's the way to do this, Pokemon. Strike a deal up with them and get some Pokemon in there.
Yep.
Confuse everybody. And like I don't know if Pal World would want that at this point, but like, you are suing us, maybe no. Uh but I think it'd make so much money. Nintendo could just be like, hey, we'll give you this many millions of dollars if you put Pikachu in there.
Yeah. Then out of spite, people would just put Pikachu on the mining side of things. So they'll just be like the rocks and like digging with
Just
pickaxes.
digging at rocks. Yeah.
It's what you
Pikachu
get.
with the gun, I'm in. Thinking of Blastoise? Man, I don't know
Mm.
what Blastoise would do, but it'd be all sorts of stuff. I'm down.
Yeah, me
I
too.
imagine the water mill thing. The Blastoise just throwing water into the water mill.
Yeah.
You would have to enslave the Pokemon. Maybe it's not the greatest idea for collab, but stick it to him. Give me Digimon. That's the play.
Yeah. Yu-Gi-Oh.
Uh,
Is that still around?
yeah. You just start picking up cards around the game.
Yeah.
Not knowing what they are. They're actually Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Amazing. Okay. Improvements to worlds. Object placement. That makes sense. I haven't played Pokemon Power World in a while, but object placement was rough. Improvements to base pals, improvements to optimization, and improvements to the UX. Yeah, I mean that all makes sense. I think the bigger story there is that they have a plan, so they must not be too worried about the lawsuit.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean,
yeah,
it's just a giant. It still has a giant presence. Uh, I can't remember. I looked it up like a week ago, but they still have a large player base on Steam. It's not slowing down. So
yeah,
yeah, I don't think they're worried.
it's cool. The last story is a pretty big one for the video game world. Uh, the industry, uh, I guess, like, how do we define the industry? Many people in the industry are hoping that Grand Theft Auto 6 will have an $80 price tag or up to a $100 price tag. Some would like. Basically, because you were saying they want to be able to keep up with the demands and high costs of actually building these kind of games. Which I get at the $80 price point. I'm not so into the $100 price point. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, they just jumped up to $70 for
Hmm.
base, and that's pretty rough. I feel like that's
Yeah,
really rough. Um,
I was very much on board for the $70. The 80, I'm just like, all right, well, what are we doing? Like, it's been one generation. I was talking about this before the podcast, but like an N64 game was $60 back in the day, and
mhm.
so for N64 up to um, the Switch, that's a really bad example, but from PlayStation up to PS4, to have the same price point for your games is kind of crazy that it didn't become more expensive quicker. Um, but after $70, I'm like, all right, well, let's wait. We had like 4 generations of consoles last time before we jumped. Why are we jumping
Yeah.
already?
Well, I think the big problem is it's like they plan, 3 years of DLC per game.
Hmm.
They have season passes already planned out. Their games, everything has to be hyper realistic.
Hmm.
So everything's got to be, ultra realistic graphics, high detailed textures, ray tracing, and that's really expensive. But not only is it expensive to develop, but it makes it expensive on hardware. So, if you're on a console, a lot of new games that are coming out over the next few years are back down to 30 frames per second on like PS5 and Xbox.
Hmm.
And the requirements on PC are just incredible. Like it's just insane. And so I mean, I think the $70 was a good jump. I think it was a good price hike, but I really feel like the industry needs to look at how they're actually developing these games.
Hmm.
And is it actually necessary?
Yeah, I mean, I see your point there. Like, for a lot of these, like, can you even play the game at the giant? Like, can the everyday man, I guess, play these
Mhm.
games at the incredibly high standard that they can play them at?
And I think Assassin's Creed Shadows is a good example of this because they delayed it twice now, and that's just more development costs, which I think it needed to be delayed, but it's just so expensive. And
Hmm.
I can't remember the budget, but I read it's one of the most expensive games in development right now because they keep
Oh,
pushing
that's
it.
so weird. Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, and they've already before they had an official release date after the first delay, they were already announcing the season pass and DLC, which blows my mind that they have this product that was so hated on online because people thought it was subpar product.
Hmm.
And then they're like, "Well, we need to delay it." They thought it would be a good idea to announce the DLC before they announced the improvements. Like, I don't understand that. And
I
it
think
has to.
a point to be made there too is an N64 game was $60, but it was a full by itself. Wasn't getting an update game. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you weren't getting 3 DLCs with that $60 game. You were getting the game that you were getting. Whereas
Yeah, and they
now you can get an 8-hour game for $60 and then or 70, and then all these DLCs that you have to pay on top of.
Yeah, that's the thing with a lot of older games, and I feel like it really started at the end of the PS3, Xbox 360 era, but, like, prior to that, when you had a game, there was just so much content, and, like, you would beat
Hmm.
the game, and then you would unlock extra content, and then you could, like,
Yeah.
replay it and then unlock more content, and now, yeah, you pay $70, you get an 8-hour game, and then 6 months later, they dropped another $50 DLC.
Hmm.
And then you have to pay $50 to either finish the story or segue into the sequel.
I think the biggest one I can think of is, you said you haven't played any Pokemon games?
Mm-mm. I haven't played
So
any.
original Gold and Silver, and I would assume Soul Silver and Heart Gold do the same thing. But Pokemon Gold and Silver, if you don't know, when you beat that game, it's in the Johto region, I think. You
Hmm.
unlock the Kanto region, which is Red and Blue's world.
Oh, okay.
And so you literally play this entire game, and you're like, "Oh, cool! This was a really good game, about as long as Red and Blue were." And then it's like, "Sweet, now you can go back to the world that you were in the last game, and you can go beat all of their gyms and do all of their things."
That's really
And
cool.
it's in the future, so, like, the world is different, the map has changed, and, like, there are
Mm.
different, gym leaders and things, if I remember correctly. But you almost, like, doubled the game's length by beating it, and I
Yeah.
cannot imagine a game now where you beat it, and then they're like, "Alright, sweet, and now you have, like, a whole 'nother game to beat on top of that."
Yeah, I think the most recent closest example that you still had to pay for was Elden Ring.
Mhm,
Because like I felt like it had a high replay value anyway.
mhm.
But then the DLC came out and it's a whole new game. Almost the
Yeah.
same length as the original release. And it wasn't as expensive. I think it was like $30, which I still think is expensive for DLC, but it was worth it in my opinion.
Yeah. There was The Witcher, I can never remember, Blood and Wine.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
wasn't nearly as long, I would say, but I feel like that opened up enough of that game to really feel like a whole 'nother, like,
That's a good point.
expansion.
I actually think that might be my favorite story in that game more than the main story, but
But I would have been like, that was what I'm saying, back in the day, that wouldn't have been DLC, that would have just been you would have beat the game, and be like, "Cool, I've done this game now," and then we're like, "Just kidding. Here's a whole 'nother
Mm.
map for you."
Yeah. Yeah.
And that would be such a good feeling. And then you're like, "What story do I even talk about when I'm talking to people about this game? Because I played one story, but now I'm like this whole 'nother chapter of this dude's life."
Mhm.
Yeah, so good. Um, yeah. So we kind of got on a tangent there, but I definitely think $100 price point is ridiculous. Um, Another thing to point with my N64 similarities comparison is that the N64 was like $150. I think it was 170 or something for that console. Uh, where it's $600 or $700 for a console these days. So that's changed quite a bit. Um, yeah, I feel like you can't do a $700 console and then $100 game. It's wild.
Yeah, they're pricing people out of being able to play video games.
Hmm.
I actually read so I first heard about that on Twitter
Hmm.
and or X, and quite a few people that work in the game industry were like, "Thanks, I'll just quit playing games, except for what I'm developing." They're like, "It's
Oh
no
wow.
point. They're pricing us out because like game devs don't always make a lot of money.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
so if their company doesn't provide the console, then they're usually using a dev kit, and so they don't take that home. And so the game they're going to play is the game they're developing. And then if they keep pricing people out, I mean, I think it's going to hurt them. I don't think they're going to do it. I think they're smart enough to realize, like, hey, the average person can't afford a $700 console and $100 game.
yeah. I guess the other thing there too is definitely a conversation to be had of just we're living in a market right now
Mhm.
that doesn't want you to own, and so make these games crazy expensive, but you can stream it, you can rent it for $20 a month and play it until
Yeah.
you no longer give us money. And so then after 4 or 5 months they get their money anyways. um yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that's a whole nother conversation about just the world we're living in right now, where we're just not supposed to own things at all. And that's crazy too, because even if you buy it on a console digitally, you don't really own that game anyways. Most of the games a service, and that's a whole thing. So yeah, I think it probably plays into that a lot, of just like this idea of not owning things and just renting them. Who wants to rent as much as possible for whatever reason? It makes more money. I guess that's the reason.
I guess.
Yeah. But yeah. All right. Well, we get into the movies then. It doesn't look like either of us watched any movies.
Nope.
So we can get into the movie news. We were talking about The Witcher. The
Yeah.
Witcher, Sirens of the Deep is a Netflix movie coming out. And the most exciting thing about it, so it's animated. Geralt is not played by Henry Cavill, unfortunately. But they did get Doug Cockle, who plays Geralt in Witcher 3. And I think Witcher 2 as well.
I think
Got
so.
him to play Geralt in this, and it sounds perfect, amazing. And all the rest of the cast is like the live action cast, so that's cool.
Yeah, I think it sounds really good. I watched the trailer right before the podcast. I think it looks great. I think that I'm not sure if it's supposed to take place in the game universe. I know his design, Geralt's design, reminds me of that, but
hmm
I'm not sure. I need to read up more on it. But yeah, I think it looks great. I'm always down for more Witcher.
Yeah, that's me, especially animated. I think animated may be the way they need to go after they realize that Liam's version doesn't do well for them.
Yeah. I, I liked, so I never finished the Henry Cavill's seasons
Okay.
through The Witcher. I watched the first season, started season 2, and I'm like, it's got good moments,
hmm
but it's hard because I'm such a huge fan of the games. And
Mm.
then like watching the show, I know nothing about the books, but I just feel like there's some weird production choices and
Yeah.
story choices that I'm like, okay, I think the games did it better. But um, always thought Henry Cavill did a great job.
Yeah, for sure. I Yeah, he's obviously a fan of
Mhm.
the games. But and I guess that's kind of what they were saying too, is the reason he left was because he had so many creative differences with the rest of the team. 'Cause he wanted to be so much like the video games, and it wasn't the direction they wanted to go.
Yeah, I remember reading that I believe is the showrunners that they like were trying to write the episodes, and he's like, "But
hmm
hey, listen, that doesn't happen in the books like that." And they're like, "Geez, come on, man! Like, we're not writing the books." And he's like, "No,
Yeah.
no, no, Geralt wouldn't say that," and they would get
Yeah.
upset with him. Like,
Garrett wouldn't say this. Yeah, I. It's all like really interesting now because it's like there's a multiverse, and there's a multiverse in the books too. And I think, like, I don't know, but I'm assuming that's how they'll bring Liam Hemsworth into his role,
Mhm,
is to not just
mhm.
straight replace him, and then they'll really kind of go off the walls. And I think that was supposed to be like, I think that would have worked out better. That's what I should say, if they would have gone with that in the first place. So you had the books, and then you had the games, and then like let the show be a third universe.
Mhm.
But they're so closely parallel, and it's more of an excuse to like uncanonize things than it is to actually like dive into a multiversal concept. I
Mhm.
think they really would have gone, deep into that. I think we probably would have been, as viewers, more okay with the deviations from the
Yeah,
games in the book. Now it seems
and
like an excuse.
yeah, and the thing is, like, I like Henry Cavill as Geralt, but I do think animated's the way to go. I feel like
Yeah.
there's stuff that's too expensive to adapt into live action.
hmm
I
Especially
think
for a
that's
whole show and like a
yeah,
Netflix show. And
yeah.
yeah.
So, did you ever play the first game?
I've only played 3.
3. So, I'm curious because you're talking about the alternate timelines and stuff and like
hmm
universes. Um, the reason why I'm curious also if they're tying this into the show. So this is a bit of a spoiler, but I feel
hmm
like if you played 3, you kind of know, and I feel like
I've got
people
a basic
that are
idea.
yeah. So like basically the books end. Have you read the books?
No. I've heard a little bit about them. My wife's read them, so I've heard through her.
So I haven't read them yet myself. They're on my wish list, but I've got too many other things to get through. But basically, Geralt dies,
Okay.
and it's like he dies by a peasant stabs him with a pitchfork, in like the midst of all this chaos happening. And
Okay.
like the Wild Hunt's tied into it, so that's why they're kind of like back, like it circles back around to Witcher 3. So Witcher 1 basically is using this idea of all the time stuff to be like, hey, actually, he survived, and they
Okay.
like go away. So he doesn't have his memories, and so he's like trying to piece together everything. And they're actually
Ah.
remaking it. And but I'm just curious, like, because they're using his voice actor, but also they've announced a remake, and so I'm just kind of curious if that's going to tie in somehow to like.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of, like, without giving anything away, and it's been a while since I've seen it. In uh I'm trying to think of where it left off in this. They did a bunch of multiversal stuff in the last season. Spoilers again. I'm sorry. And I think he got really injured into where I thought he was gonna die, and then I don't think he did die. So I was like, oh, that's how they'll do it. Is like they'll find a Witcher from another universe to bring in, and
Yeah,
I still haven't seen that like play out. Um, he's Henry Cavill will have to star in the next season in some capacity. He's not like done a farewell yet, unless they are just
yeah,
recasting.
that's the thing with the books, like that was which I think there's a new book coming out that they're
Oh.
yeah. So the author and CD Projekt Red bump heads a lot because he originally was excited about them doing their own thing and making the sequel,
Mhm.
basically making the games the sequels, and then they did something and it upset him, and so like he's like, I don't know, like an angry ex girlfriend trying to write like like I'm getting my revenge, and so he's like writing sequels, and so there is a new book coming out, but I think that's what he's doing is like he's taken their idea of like using the time stuff to be like, oh, he actually survived through this multiversal thing.
Yeah,
And I can see, I
it's
don't
all
know.
real weird. I think
Yeah.
animated would be good. The Sirens of the Deep, so it's like very Aquaman-esque going on. I don't totally
Mhm.
understand what's happening, but it very much felt like Geralt versus Aquaman, and I'm down for that.
They could just have Jason Momoa
I would
voice like the water people.
if they had Henry Cavill playing Geralt, and they brought Jason Momoa, and we had a Justice League reunion. Um, Ben Affleck play some king. Let's do it.
Yep, that'd be sick.
Um, yeah, no, I think animated is. I would continue watching the animated stuff for sure. The other thing was good. There was one animated thing that was not good. I can't remember what it was called, and there was an animated thing that was good. The Wolf.
Hmm.
I can remember. Actually think it was live action that I didn't like. It was a live action Witcher prequel that I wasn't a fan of.
Uh,
I'm looking it up. Which coming soon to Netflix. I don't need coming soon. I'm not gonna be able to find it easily.
Nightmare of the Wolf.
Oops, I took a screenshot on accident. That's not what I wanted. Oh well. There are a few different shows. I think the live action one was a prequel thing that I didn't. The something witch.
Okay.
Prequels. Witcher Nightmare of the Wolf, and then Sirens of the Deep, and then there is one more. Blood Origin. Okay. So Nightmare of the
Oh
Wolf I
yeah,
really liked. Blood Origin was the one that I wasn't a huge fan of.
yeah. I heard that was awful.
Yeah. I think it goes to prove again, animated is probably how you should manage it.
Yeah.
And then this next story is just kind of silly. Mission uh he wrote Mission Possible, a lethal screener as the headline there. It's been reported that the almost is what gets me is like Deadline was just like, we're gonna take this as the story we're gonna run with. He Someone went to a movie theater. They saw a trailer for Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. I was suffocating throughout the entire sequence. I almost had a heart attack, and I thought, I guess we did something right. Okay. um, because the so intense. The stunts are so intense.
Yeah, so it was a private screening of the movie, early screening, I
Yeah.
think. And yeah, so this guy started hyperventilating. He's like, I'm about to have a heart attack. The director's like, yes.
Yeah, that's what we were going for. I mean, if they don't have like the trailers for that ad, where they have all of like the reviews in the background, and
Mhm.
it's not like heart-stopping fun. Uh,
I know. That'd be such a
oh
missed
man.
marketing moment. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I feel bad
so
for that comment.
intense. You'll have a heart attack.
uh, my apologies to anyone who has lost anyone to heart issues. My older brother has like had a heart attack since he was like 28, and so I immediately thought of my older brother. I was like, dang, that's so. Uh, but yeah, I don't know if we did something right to almost had a heart attack is the correct response.
I know.
um, but also like if movies are giving you heart attacks, maybe take care of yourself.
Go to the doctor.
Yeah. um, and then moving on, we have a Narnia limited theatrical run happening. Uh, Greta Gerwig is directing or helming the film. It is still owned by Netflix. We talked about this a few years back that Netflix was like, I think it was when they got the rights to the movies and TV shows. This is just a movie, from what we're gathering. It's just a film. Uh, I haven't seen any Netflix made movies in theaters yet. I don't know if
Mm-mm.
they've been in theaters and I've just missed them, or if they just haven't happened yet. I know, like I was showing you that kind of like stinger that they have for the beginning of Netflix movies. That's like very Hans Zimmer esque.
Yeah, yeah. I've never. I've seen that. I haven't seen that yet. Um, I think this is the way to go. I think that streaming is a lost cause in some aspects. I
Hmm.
think that it bleeds money, and this is the way to do it.
Yeah,
If you want to have a Netflix exclusive movie, give it a limited theatrical run, let it make some money, and then just pull it,
then throw it
throw it
on.
on Netflix.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
also
excited for a
good
Narnia movie
marketing.
too.
Yeah,
Hmm.
me too.
Yeah, because then it gets everyone to want to watch the streaming service too. Like, oh, what else is
Mm,
on there? And this was good. Maybe they have other good movies that I've missed, and all of
yeah.
those good things. So, I mean, everyone else is doing it. You think of like Disney, Paramount, and all the other big games. HBO's got
Mhm.
Warner Brothers. So Netflix is kind of like the odd one out in this, even though they pioneered, the streaming world. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm hoping Narnia movies will be good movies.
Yeah. Fingers
Um,
crossed.
yeah, I feel like I had more to say on that, but I don't remember what it was. So we'll move on. Oh, go ahead. Did
Oh,
you?
I was just gonna. Yeah, I was just gonna say, if you put it in theaters and tease people, and they're like, "Oh, sorry, got to go to our streaming service," then it's just
Yeah.
gonna drive their numbers up.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. It'd be really cool to do like shows that way. Uh, Actually, it wouldn't be really cool. That's very capitalistic, but it would be very
Yeah,
smart to
it
do
is.
like a couple episodes in theaters and be like, cool, you want to watch the rest? You got to go stream on
Mhm.
Netflix. I need to watch Rebel Moon Director's Cut. This just reminded me of that. I never watched that.
I haven't watched it, any of it.
Any of it?
Mm-mm.
Rebel Moon was the best Star Wars show movie they had made in a long time, even though it's not Star Wars at all.
Yeah, I've heard mixed reviews. Some
Hmm.
people love it, some people hate it. Uh, I like Zack Snyder. He's a guilty pleasure. Some people hate him.
Yeah,
I
it's a
think he
very Zack Snyder
does.
film.
I think he's done some good stuff. I think he's done bad stuff too. I think every director does.
Hmm.
But yeah, I've heard it's not. Some people love it. I heard the director's cut is a lot better.
Ooh, okay.
But yeah, I haven't taken time to watch it.
Yeah, I watched
It
both, and I watched the second one like around the time that the director's cut was coming out, and so I was like, well, I don't want to watch that now. Like I just watched it, so I just haven't
yeah,
watched the director's cut.
I've heard it's a lot different.
That'd be cool.
Like there's completely different. Like it's almost a different movie because it has like it's more rated R, and so I guess they
Okay,
just cut stuff out of it completely, and then
I'm
just
excited for that. I hate that concept of making a movie and then making the director's cut and then having like a whole different, like I don't know. That just seems like a money grab to me but I'm gonna go watch it. So maybe it's working.
I He got away with it with Batman versus Superman,
Yeah,
and I felt like the director's cut or the extended
Justice
cut
League.
was really good. Yeah, and Justice League. I actually really like his Justice League.
Yeah,
The
with like proper
theatrical cut.
CGI, it would have been a great
Mhm.
movie.
Oh yeah, a little long in the slow mo. Like I feel like if you cut the slow mo scenes down,
hmm
it would have been a 2 hour movie instead of a 4 hour movie.
Well, and that
But
too, I feel like so much of that was like I don't think that would have made it into his original Snyder cut.
hmm
It feels like he was given like Snyder cut full reign, and so then it was like, yeah, we're just gonna slow mo everything.
yeah,
Uh, Like the way that he adds the music for Wonder Woman.
hmm
Da-da, I don't remember how it goes, but was really cool. There's some really cool moments, but he kept doing it. I'm like, you wouldn't have actually done this if you.
no, yeah. I think the post credit scene with Batman and the Joker was cool in concept, but I also didn't think it fit. I was
Yeah,
like,
it
all
was
right,
random.
but a little random.
Filmed in
Um,
his driveway.
yeah, I feel like the biggest issue with what they were trying to do with all of that was the fact that he in his head was like 3 movies ahead and
hmm
wasn't focused on the movie he was working on. So he
Yeah,
had like really cool abstract ideas that he's shoving into movies that needs more
didn't need.
context.
Yeah,
So
yeah. The whole universe was just real strange. Like I like Snyder. I think it was a really odd choice to make him your like Marvel competitor.
mhm. He's really good. Like his
hmm
visuals are always stunning. I think he really understands comic book visual language, but
Yeah.
uh, I don't think he's the best writer. I think when he's got other writers
hmm
involved,
It
he does a
feels
lot
very
better.
much like he's writing towards like from epic shot to epic shot. Like
hmm
he'll think of this really cool scene and then he just kind of writes his way up to get to that point. And then you get this really stunning imagery and then he kind of like writes his way into the next like stunning piece of imagery. And it's more about getting those shots than it is the story as a whole.
Yeah. So this is a bit of a tangent,
Yeah,
but
we're
I
way off
feel
the
like
rails. That's okay.
every beginner filmmaker starts like that
Okay.
because you see it in your head and you're like, "Oh, I got this really cool idea." And you see like this image or the scene and you don't have a story. And so when you start to write, you realize you don't really have a story because you're trying to write image to image
hmm
and you don't know how to intertwine stuff. And it's something that like most beginner filmmakers struggle with until they start getting some like really bad short films under their belt.
And Snyder
And
just
they're
turned
like,
into an art.
yeah, well, he directed music videos before he got into films,
Okay.
which totally makes sense
Yeah.
to be like that and to
Shot to
stay in
shot.
that because you're basically doing visuals and you're not really interconnecting stuff
Yeah.
the same
Yeah,
as
that
you
makes
would a
sense.
film.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, and we can move on. Narnia is going to be on Netflix in theaters. we got it was good stuff though. The last no, not the last news story is TV. I've been watching Squid Games 2 because you brought up Squid Games 2. And for those who are wondering, still rated R. Very gory, but
hmm
so good.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. I I there's been a few times now where I thought it was gonna be predictable, and then something else happened, and I was like, "Oh, okay, all right." Um, being ADHD, I usually catch on to things relatively quickly. And so some of it, like once it happened, I was like, "Oh, that makes sense." But no, it's got some fun little twists in there, and isn't playing out the way that I thought it would play out. So that's cool. Um, I don't want to give anything else away. It's just watch it in the original language,
hmm
please. You want to see like we have a friend that was over and we were watching and they're like, "Oh, I usually watch in English." And we're like, "The actors that are doing the dub do not have the emotion
Mm-mm.
that these actors have in their like native language. Like they are there acting and so when they're in that room and they're doing that scene, like it just comes out way better."
Yeah, so I watched the first season dubbed.
Hmm.
Or yeah.
No.
And that was a big mistake
Yeah.
because I was like, this is really good, but man, the acting's awful.
Hmm.
And because there was that disconnect, and like the
Yeah.
lip sync wasn't right on some scenes. And so going back to when I started Squid Game season 2, it auto defaulted to the dubbed. And I got like 10 seconds in, I was like, nope. And then I switched to subbed. I was like, this is way better.
Hmm.
And then my wife was like, hey, I'm going to watch it. So we just started from the beginning in season 1 all the way through subbed. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is so much better. Such a better
Yeah, the
experience.
main character is an amazing actor, and
Mm,
yeah, you definitely don't see that played through. I'm really interested. I think that's one thing that AI is gonna be able to do really well. Will be like getting those voice, like the lip sync
yeah.
down. You can just like run it through a program, get the lip sync, and then as long as your voice actors are doing a good job, I think you can make that look really realistic and work really well. You may be able to like AI like the dub into being um like sound close to the original actor probably. Um, but
So, yeah.
as right now, just like having a dub where it's someone like an American guy just voicing over an actor and they're just reading lines and not really like there in the scene. It sounds real bad.
Yeah. So just used a software. Well, I didn't use it. Um, my wife actually used it for a marketing tool where they filmed a video of this person talking about a service that her job offers, and she translated it into Spanish with the software, and it sounded like the original person,
That's
but in
cool.
Spanish. So it's there. There's a little bit of that, like, sounds like AI,
Uncanny, yeah. Uncanny
but
Valley.
it sounded like him. Same inflections and everything, but in Spanish.
So we're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're
That's
getting
cool.
there.
I mean that takes away in that sense it takes away the voice actor's job financially, but
It does. It's not good, but it's
visually.
cool tech.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. That's yeah, it's super neat. I I would love I would probably I'd be okay with watching something in English that's like uh dubbed out like that if it was done where it was really like realistic and believable.
Mhm.
Anime I watch dubbed, but they can usually get the lip syncs just fine because they're animating it, and
Exactly. Yeah.
they can voice actors now are so passionate about their jobs anymore. English voice actors that they usually sound really good in anime. But I have not seen Barbarians is another one. It's a German show, really good. But if you try watching it in English, like it really feels like they got people from The Office to just get on a microphone and read the lines for them. No offense to the voice
Yeah.
actors. Sorry, guys. If you worked on Barbarians, you you could have tried a little harder. Uh, but Barbarians really really good show about German barbarians and Romans coming to attack them. And very Viking. Have you haven't watched anything else TV wise?
No,
No. All right.
unfortunately.
We will get into our TV news then really quick. Just Daredevil, Born Again, which is Disney's sequel to Daredevil from Netflix. I think we're both really excited about it. Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm super excited. Huge Daredevil fan.
Same.
Big fan of the comics. Big fan of the Netflix show. So I'm pretty excited to see what they do.
Yeah. I think a lot of like Charlie Cox is just really good at playing that role, Matt Murdock. And so seeing him back, like, I think it'd be really hard to like write him poorly. I think he could take poor writing and make it look good,
Yeah.
kind of
She
thing.
Hulk.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so I'm really excited for that perspective of it. I hope that the writing is good. My biggest worry is this trailer is so Disney in the sense that like they just they're really good at going, hey, you remember this thing you liked? We got it. And so it was like, remember how you liked Kingpin? We got Kingpin. They're like, you remember how you really liked Bullseye? He's coming out of prison just for you, you know? They even go, he's like getting attacked. He's like, Frank, Frank, Frank. And it like, stills up on Frank Castle, and you're like, oh my goodness, it's the Punisher.
It's like the Einstein reveal in Oppenheimer.
Yes. It reminds me a lot of like Star Wars character. Um, this is spoilers for Boba Fett, Book of Boba Fett, which no one cared about. But I can't remember the bounty hunter's name right now. The blue dude. Oh no.
Oh,
Someone's gonna be so mad
Cad
at me.
Bane. Cad
Cad
Bane.
Bane. Yeah. We got him. And like that show was terrible. But Cad Bane comes up and you're like, but Cad Bane's in it. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
So I just hope they
Yep.
don't do that with Daredevil. It's like, this show's not great, but we got Punisher back. So like, that's cool.
Yeah. So my only concern is that Disney Marvel shows want to be edgy,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't know how.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that's concerning people and what I'm seeing online is the cinematography is definitely Disney Marvel
Okay.
cinematography. And there's a reason, and it's actually a very practical reason. And the thing is, a little insight into filmmaking, actors are expensive, and you tend to, it's now a trend to light them brighter and to have brighter midtones
Okay.
and to use a deeper focus so you don't have to do as many reshoots.
Oh, okay.
And the Daredevil Netflix show, or Netflix Daredevil show, they were allowed to take those liberties and risks because it benefited. So if a shot's a little out of focus, oh well, it's a gritty show. But with Disney, they don't want to spend the money on that. And
Ah,
so like the production value, like Daredevil, the Netflix show, some people have said it looks more expensive. It's actually cheaper.
okay.
And it's more expensive to light this way, but it means less mistakes. Also, CG, it makes it a lot easier to do CG.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I think it kind of takes away a little bit from the grittiness, but I think they still can do a good job with it.
Yeah. I need a hallway scene. I think that's a must. They don't have a
Mhm.
hallway scene. This show is a failure. I still think the biggest flex they could have done, and I think to your point of like making it cheaper, the biggest flex Disney could have done is in She-Hulk. Have done a hallway scene with She-Hulk and Daredevil, Matt Murdock,
Mhm.
and to like throw a CGI character into the choreography of all of that hallway stuff would have been insane to have done.
Yeah.
It would have been unheard of. Like it's crazy enough that you do, like a one shot, a 10-minute one shot take, to be able to do that and then like have it all work perfectly with a CGI character in there, which with mocap was totally doable.
Mhm.
Would have been such a flex on and a nod to Daredevil's like television lineage. Um, so hopefully they redeem themselves in this, but again, it's expensive, I assume, to choreograph all of that and get that all planned and make that all one.
Yeah, it is. And I don't know if the same choreography team's coming back.
Hmm.
I have a little bit of a connection through acquaintances with the original team.
Okay.
So one of the martial arts I'm an instructor in, one of the head instructors, his son was head of the choreography,
Oh, cool.
and so I never met him, but I've met his dad, and
Yeah.
so it's kind of cool. I don't have real connection, but I can.
You could if you wanted.
Yeah, and he did an excellent job with the choreography
Hmm.
because they were like, "Hey, we need to build this out. Here's his character traits." And they were kind of shopping, from my understanding. And like his dad, is a martial art instructor in like three different martial arts.
Hmm.
And they so happen to kind of fit. And they're like, hey, can you do tricking or stunting where you do flips and stuff? And he's like, I think so. And then you like could. And so they're like, awesome. And so
That's cool.
he put together the team. And I could be grossly misunderstanding. This is just what I've heard from like his dad and like different interviews he's done. Um, but I don't know if it's the same team. I hope it is because they did such a good job
Hmm.
with the choreography in the original show, and he was, from my understanding, a big influence on like the hallway fights,
Yeah. Okay.
and so I'm
The prison
hoping,
scene and prison
yeah,
escape was crazy. Oh man. Yeah, I think that's what bugged me the most is She-Hulk nods to it, right? Like you have this hallway scene set up, and then like the punchline is her like breaking through that hallway scene before it really starts. And I'm like,
yeah,
it would have been so cool if you would have made it just one like solid shot.
I know,
It didn't
yeah, I
even
was
have to be
gonna,
long. They could have done like 6 minutes or so. You know, it didn't even have to be as long as like the Netflix ones. And then he'd be like, I don't have time for this, and then like pull the camera away or something
yeah,
and break the fourth wall. Um, no, that's super cool. Those I think for me is what made that show so special to me was the like insane choreography and cinematography of like
hmm
making these super long choreographed shots. Um, so hopefully we get more of that.
I hope so.
You have anything else to add for the show, the trailer or anything?
I don't. I'm excited,
Yeah,
but that's it.
March something. March 4th, March 14th.
Hmm.
Born Again release date. Um, Coming to you. I cannot get it. March 4th. Yeah. So soon. I think we've got Captain America coming up before that.
I think so.
I think it's February 14th is for that, which Valentine's Day is such an interesting time to schedule that out. But
It's a super romantic film.
Brave New World. Yeah.
Hmm.
Do you remember? We're just getting on tangents this podcast. We're at the hour mark. Hey, we did it. Um, the Deadpool like billboards that made it look like a romance movie, and the
Yeah.
romance they had trailers and stuff. And come go with your wife to watch this, super romantic Deadpool movie. Uh, so good. All right. Well, you geeking out about something pretty cool too. I have a soup update, but before I do the soup update, you've been reading some comics.
Yeah, so um I'm a huge comic nerd. I have started my comic collection 3 times because I've lost it from like
No.
just various things happen, didn't store them properly, and I'm behind. I haven't really read comics in like 2 years, and I got an ad for DC Infinite, which is their app for streaming comics. So you can,
Okay.
it's like a cheap
Yeah.
subscription, and there's a more expensive subscription. There's actually like 3 tiers, I think, but the one I'm on is really fairly cheap. I think it's like $7 a month, and you get new comics 6 months after they release, but you get all the backlog. And
Okay.
so, like by the time you catch up, the new editions are out. And so, yeah, I've started reading. I believe it's called Batman and Robin. It's a newer. It came out in 2023 during their
Okay.
dawn of DC. They reboot like every 2 months, I think.
Yeah. Who's Robin? Do
But
you
it's
know?
good.
Does it tell you? Is it
It's Damien.
Damien? Cool.
Yeah, so it's kind of trying to tell the story where basically him and Damien, Bruce and Damien, have kind of been falling out, and so Damien's like living with him again, and they're like trying to make amends, and he's like, "Hey, so I know you want to fight crime, but you should go to high school because I didn't have a normal childhood, and I don't want you to be as traumatized as me. So you still fight crime on the weekends, but during the week you got to be Damien." And he's like, "Oh, that's stupid. Because I'm like super smart, and I fight crime and, fight Mr. Freeze every night." And he's like, "I don't care." So Bruce is like, "You got to do it." And he's
That's
trying to be
cool.
a dad, but he doesn't know
Yeah.
how to be a dad. And so it's pretty cool.
Did you ever watch Titans? The live action Titans?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember him, talking to the Robins and being like, I wanted you to be better than me and all these things. And I didn't know how to, yeah, I didn't know how to be a dad. And it was so good. There was
This,
no Damien in that one, but
yeah. No, they probably would have got there if the show didn't get canceled.
yeah, it felt like a YouTube web series that like was given a
Yeah.
lot of money. and I loved it.
They they've really struggled because the concept's cool, but like the
Mhm.
first episode, they were like, "Let's be super edgy."
Yeah, and then they're like, "Whoa, tone it back."
Yeah, it's like okay, let's. You didn't need to be that.
Yeah. I think that's what gave it that that web show feel, was just, like, the over the
Hmm.
top edginess reminds me of, like, Red Hood, YouTube, um, fan-made films.
Yeah, that's my biggest pet peeve with a lot of fan films for like Batman
Mhm.
is like they try to make it super edgy. Batman drops like 500 f bombs,
Yeah.
and it's like, I mean, he kind of cusses in the comics, but he's so like stoic and tries to
Yeah.
be like like well put together that he doesn't really lose his temper that much, and
Mhm.
he has this whole thing about him, and they're like, we don't care. Like Batman's just gonna drop the f bomb in a conversation
Yeah. It's so
because
silly.
we want to be edgy. But yeah, I have the same vibe. That was like the first episode of Titans. I thought the same thing. I was like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, major spoilers for a show that's really old now, but, um, Nightwing versus Red Hood, I was like, "I didn't think this is something I'd see in live action for a very long time." Especially
Yeah,
not in an official capacity. I was like, "This is great."
yeah. I'm trying to think. How far did I get into that show? I
Oh,
think there's three
I
seasons.
watched all of it. It does get rough. Towards the end, I can't remember his name, but the main villain is wearing a mask, and it literally has, like, like, elastic straps to, like, tie it
Oh
around his head.
no. Oh no.
But it's like it came from hell or something. And so it's like, why doesn't it
Oh
have elastic?
no. Yes. How many seasons? Uh, season three. 3 seasons.
It's only 3 seasons?
4 seasons. I
4
remember.
seasons? Brother
Um.
Blood, that's what it was.
Oh yeah.
And he's just got this like plastic, like very plastic mask. And he's wearing a hood, and so with the hood it would have been fine, but he takes the hood off and it's got the elastic in the back, and you're like, "Why?
Oh no.
Why would you do that?" So funny. Um
No.
But my soup update, and we'll get out of here. I took most of it and threw it away, but I left 4 cups of it. It was getting really bitter. So I took 4 cups of it and of just the broth, and then I made a bone broth out of it, with a soup bone with a cow
Mm.
femur. Let that cook for a day just by itself. Took it out, added the normals. So beef, carrots, celery, no celery, beef, carrots, potatoes, tomatoes, and mushrooms. And it was one of the best soups I've had in a long time. It was so good.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, it is now. Uh, on Wednesday, it'll be 2 weeks old. So
You're still here,
yeah, not dead yet.
so
About to go eat some
not yet.
actually,
Nice.
and then add some more water to it because it's getting low. Honestly, again, I do not suggest anyone do this. Live vicariously through me, please, because I don't want to hurt anyone. But yeah,
You're our experiment.
yeah, we will end the podcast there. We're talking about doing lunch on Sunday. We can go somewhere. We don't have to eat my soup.
Okay, I was gonna ask.
We're like, we don't need to go out. We can have my 3-week-old soup. We'll end the podcast there. Jonathan, where can they find you at?
They can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube under @DifferentLensMedia.
Nice. You can find me. You can find me on Instagram at Cody Ober. Keep gaming, keep praying, and God bless.